Hi, everyone. It's Martha Novak, and I'm here with a show called Real Talk with Martha Novak, and looking forward to talking with you today about this subject. The subject that we're going to talk about are expectations. The subject is expectations. And we are all full of them. And we need to realize what we're doing and when to use them and when not to use them. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I hope you all are well and healthy. Everything is great here. And thank goodness after a busy move. Anyway, let's do a prayer. Get us all on the same page. And we'll start talking about this today, okay? Dear God, thank you so much. You who are all we are and all everything is in this world. We thank you so much for bringing us all here together again under the banner of knowing ourselves and the aspect of us known as you. We are so appreciative of everything just as it is, and the chaos and the order. We open ourselves now to see, hear, sense, and know what you would have us do as we open to the truth that lies in your enlightenment. We thank you so much for all of this, for the opportunities at hand that are all around us. Open our awareness that we may see them. And we ask now in full grace and gratitude, we're going to say we know nothing in these 90 minutes, for it's the you through us and through all things that know it all. We'd like to speak to that part of us, that part of everything. So thank you so much, dear God, as we open to this kind of truth in our lives. And so it is. Amen. So guys, hello. I found an interesting article that said once you stop expecting these 7 things from people, you'll be much happier. I never did find an author to this, but it was on something called Higher Perspective. I found this article really interesting, but a bit limited in this. And, you know, we're always going past the obvious here on this show. The expectations that you have of yourself are far more damaging than the ones you have for other people. As a matter of fact, the fact is, if you have them for other people or for circumstances, and I can give you an example of that myself, you'll be disappointed, but not as much as we are disappointed with ourselves when we don't meet our own self-imposed expectations. So we're going to talk about expectations, the highs and lows, the ins and outs, the good and the bad. And nothing's ever bad in this world. Keep in mind, that's a judgment we put on things. But what is true is there are things that make us happier and things that make us unhappier. And this is definitely one of those things that can make you unhappy, okay? Hang on just a second. I have a new computer and I haven't quite caught on to it yet. So if you see me reaching over, I'm doing something because it's trying to shut off and I haven't quite fixed the mechanism. All right. I have no cold, but it is very cold outside. And when it's this cold outside, for some reason, my nose knows it and runs. Okay. In this article, the author says, whether it's your friends or family, we're constantly being let down by those we care about and who care about us. I say we're letting ourselves down. It isn't that people can't let you down. They certainly can. Yeah. But we often set that up in our own minds to be let down. And that's what I want to talk with you all about today. Because why? If we can catch ourselves doing that and not build ourselves up that way, we'll be all right. I think we're doing a lot of this ourselves. The article goes on to say, perhaps it's because we have high expectations of those around us. We cannot expect people to always do what we want. That's a control issue if we want people to do what we want. And we can't blame them when we are let down. We have to meet people where they are, which means bridging the gap from our expectation to their reality. Well, I think that's a very interesting statement, and it's mostly true. However, I will say that I think the real emotionally aware people, the real emotionally mature people, catch themselves making expectations, if they do, and dispatch that so that we accept things just as they are. You understand? So I'm interested in your going past what this article is saying, of course, because I think that it's really important for us to catch the setup that we have created. Now, all of these are not that, but most of them are. You'll see. So article goes on to say, instead of being disappointed, we need to learn how to be happy for ourselves. Well, that's a true statement. No one person on this planet can give us everything except ourselves. That's true. Once we realize that the only person who can is ourselves, life becomes much easier. If someone cannot meet our expectations or keeps disappointing you, you are able to leave them easier and put yourself first. Okay, well, I'm not even going to address that. I think it's extremely important. And I said I'm not even going to address that. I'm not going to address that specifically. I'm going to say this. The more we know about ourselves, everybody, the more we know how we set things up, how we're doing this, usually ourselves, how the present has related to the past by our dragging the past up and superimposing it on the present. The more we realize we're being influenced by television and radio and the people around us and God knows what, right? The better off we'll be. The more responsible then we become for our own happiness. Well, hello, Jay. Well, I don't know about gracefully. And Barbara, oh, my darling sister, how are you? Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad you guys are tuning in. My dear friends are here. Thank you. I'm so glad. So we're talking about the things that we expect from other people and expect from ourselves, and why this leads a lot of times to disappointment, and then we get upset. Let me say this. I'm going to start off with a story. I have a darling friend. I have several clients who are twins. I've had several clients who are twins for years. The twin thing is really interesting to me because these twins have been very, very close, and yet as they age, real differences show, right? And I had a client who was a twin whose twin had a terrible drinking problem. And he wanted this guy to go on the path that he went on, you know? He tried and tried and tried to get him to stop drinking, to shape up, to go into this activity or that activity, to seek the help that, you know, he knew was all around, but the twin didn't choose that. He didn't choose that. So every time my client talked to this man for many years. He's completely cured of this now. But he expected something from him. He expected love. He expected that the guy would see the light, right? He expected that he would see him for who he was, not just an extension of himself, that he would, appreciate the individuality that he was seeking, my client was seeking. None of those things happened. So every time he'd leave a conversation, he was brokenhearted. And it really spoiled his week until it didn't. You see, part of this is the acceptance of life as it really is. All of us have tried to do different things instead of accepting life as it really is. And one of those different things is we tried to control and manipulate it, right? So that we got what we wanted. And as soon as I pointed that out to him, that these are your expectations, but you're trying to control and manipulate him because you want to feel better. Because you, in essence, you're giving your power, your right to be happy to what he does. And guys, we can't do that. We have the God-given right to be happy within ourselves, but part of being happy within ourselves is accepting things as they really are. You can't make people do things. You can't manipulate them into doing things. If you've seen it, that you can put some suggestion on the table one time, and if they don't pick it up, if they don't seize on it, darling, they don't want to do it. So all the machinations in the world are not going to make somebody do your bidding. The fact of the matter is, speaking from a spiritual perspective, we can only suggest things. Not over and over again either, but we can only suggest things because every individual is here to learn something, to evolve and grow through something. It's their own path. I'm not sure anybody can understand anybody else. I really mean that. I don't think anybody can understand anybody else. We can to a certain extent. But if you're looking for that partner out there that really understands you and really, no, nobody's going to be there for that. No, you have to understand yourself. You can then articulately explain that to somebody else if you need to. But we're here to understand ourselves. The problem here becomes we don't always know what we're doing when we're creating expectations. Because all of us grew up, what? In fantasy. In fantasy, it's its own reward. Fantasy is where you go to make yourself feel better. Fantasy is a rosy glow over a situation, so you don't really have to see the truth of it. So you can fool yourself for a little while that you're getting what you want when you're not. So part of the marvelous thing about spiritual work is that it puts you in touch with reality. And the second thing it does is it helps you accept the reality that is. And it very much clarifies what you can change and what you can't. You can't change anybody out there. You can change you and your reactions to things and your attitudes about things and your judgments about things. But those things just are. We're the ones that put the labels on things, you see? So it becomes very important for all of us to just accept what is. We're going to talk about now the 7 things to stop expecting from yourself, I'm going to add, and others. Again, whatever you're doing in an external way in the world is probably what you're doing to yourself. And I think that's the most important thing to look at here, okay? And I should hope, and my prayer for you today is certainly that you are aware of your doing this on the front end of you doing it, if indeed you are doing it. Now, what a convoluted sentence that was, huh? I want you to be aware that this is what's going on. Okay, so the first thing this article brings up is don't expect them to always do the right thing. Let's talk about what this article says first, and then let's flip it around, okay? This is the greatest way we set ourselves up for failure, this person says. People won't always do the right thing. They won't always make the right call. Sometimes they don't have your interests at heart. Sometimes they simply make mistakes. All right. My first thought is nobody is the moral police here. I cannot tell you the right thing to do. I can hopefully offer you suggestions that help you be in touch with your own highest self, which one of the major characteristics of that higher self mind is that it always does the right thing. But what's the right thing? Okay? What's the right thing? I'm going to give you an example of that. Guys, sorry for the spoiler movie alert, but do you remember the movie Sophie's Choice? That's a really good example of what I'm about to present to you. And here it is. I'm presenting to you the fact that your right choice may not be somebody else's right choice. All right? For example, in this film, Sophie's choice was when she was, yes, expectations are like building a hobby model. That's true. Hello, David. Oh, I'm so glad you're with us. Thank you so much for being here. How nice. So, in Sophie's choice, she is living in, I believe it was Poland. It's been a while since I've seen the film. She has a little girl in her arms, a little boy. She's holding the little child's hand. She's in this Jewish roundup, and they're being put on the trains to go to the camps. And she's hysterical because they're taking everything away from her, of course. And she runs over to a guard, and she says, "Please let us go. Please just let us go." And he, in his cruelty, says, "Give me one of the children and I'll let you go." Well, he really kind of attacks her in terms of the energy is already real heightened, and he's yelling at her, right? And she's yelling back, and they're topping each other, and it's very reactive. And finally, she says, "Take the girl." She screams, "Take the girl." And she gives him the girl out of her arms and runs away with the little boy. Okay. Years later, spoiler alert here, years later, she never has been able to live with herself for giving the girl away. And she commits suicide at the end. Now, what I'm presenting to you is something, thank God in heaven, I don't think you'll ever have to face. But because this is such an extreme example, it's a good example for us. Is it in your highest self, this is about you, to have 3 people possibly die in the death camps, maybe together, although she would have been separated from the boy child? Or is it best to do what she did and give up a child so that 2 might live? Now, Guys, you all can debate this till the cows come home. The fact of the matter is, a decision like this is an enormously personal decision in your highest self or in your reactive ego child's mind. She was not in her highest self when she made that decision. She was definitely in her ego child's mind because of the hysteria and all the emotionality around this. And of course, I'm not judging that because I understand how horrible that could be and was to many people. What I am saying to you is this is all subjective. You might have an opinion. I might have an opinion. Where's the moral police that's going to come along and tell us that's right or wrong? There shouldn't be any. Because it is what makes you, you. All right? Now, you're listening to a show like this because all of us are trying to transcend the ego child's mind and go to the highest self mind. Okay? And in that, we must realize that those two decisions that we make are extremely important, and important to see that there is a difference. If there is, sometimes the decision might be the same. The behavior might be the same out of both of those things. Obviously, in Sophie's choice, it was not. She could not live with the decision that she made in that ego child's mind. Here's the thing. We're happiest when we are making the decision that is compatible in both minds. We have to resolve that in ourselves in some way. And this is why therapy is good, because it helps you take whatever it is that happened and resolve it finally and see it for the big picture it is, you know, and be at peace finally. Okay. Going back to our article, I do want to say I object to the line, people won't always do the right thing. It is not up to you to say what the right or wrong thing is. And you may say to me, yes, but my child is on drugs. Well, is your child 35 years old? If your child is on 35 years old, you don't have a child anymore, kids. You'll always be a mother or father. That's the irony here. But you don't have any kids anymore. They're not children. And if they reach an adulthood, they have the right to live and die the way they choose. Because we all do. It's a God-given right. See, I do believe with all my heart that everybody knows how to live. We all know what we should be doing. We just don't do it for whatever reason. And so it's not like you can go along and lecture about this. And you certainly can't be the moral police. This article goes on to say they won't always make the right call. Who's to say what's right? Guys, I very strongly believe with all my heart that we are here for soul purposes. Whatever the sole purpose is, maybe to be out there dying on the street corner. It isn't that we shouldn't help. We should, not enable, but help. But guys, we have no right to judge that. Because we all do have a soul purpose. And I believe that sometimes our soul purpose is to put ourselves into suffering so we really understand it, put ourselves into a situation to really understand it. Excuse me, guys, I have done something there. I am back on the air. All right. Our souls are here to learn in various ways. I agree that sometimes people don't have our best interests at heart. I think everybody's working from their own agenda, quite frankly. I think everybody works from their own agenda. I think that our dearest friends are the ones who have like agendas to us. Don't you? You know, if my agenda for you is for these 2 hours, to hour and a half, to teach you as much as I can, I don't have any investment about what you do with it. I hope it helps, you know. You are here to learn and to take away whatever you do. There is no force. There is no weirdness here at all. It's an agreement to agree or disagree to whatever it is I'm saying. You see? Okay. But everybody has an agenda. And I think it's really important that we wake up out of our little fantasy, everybody's so nice, mind, and realize everybody has an agenda. We ought to know what that agenda is. You ought to be sensitive enough to be able to pick that out so that your dear friends become your dear friends in a very deliberate and conscious manner, and that you have other people wishing them well over there, you know? And of course, everybody makes mistakes. I did a course on mistake making, as a matter of fact. It was loads of fun. And I found a really interesting article that said for every 10 decisions you make, 4 of them are probably going to be wrong. Okay? We have a caller today. Now, I hope I can bring this caller in. Sometimes I can and sometimes I can't. This is a 607 exchange. Let's see if I can. Hello, 607. Are you there?
Hello.
Hello. What's your name? Your first name?
Nicole.
Nicole, I've talked to you before, have I not?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Okay.
Darling, is there anything that I can help you with, or answer any questions for you, or do you have a comment for us, or what?
Wondering about my housing situation.
Yeah.
For now and the future.
Yeah. Well, right now it doesn't seem real good. What's going on? Are you about to lose your house?
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just moved in here, but
all right. It feels very tentative to me, whatever's going on here, but it isn't so much about the house as it is about you. I don't know what I mean by that remark, but this, the way what I'm picking up right now is there's an instability within you that's creating something like this. Do you know what I'm talking about? Is it that you want to be somewhere else?
Yeah.
Is it that you are worried about money or something like that's going on with you? And, that I guess seems pretty obvious, but that's what I'm picking up. It feels to me like there is an opportunity for you in future months of this year that to actually leave where you are. I'm not talking about just moving out of this place that you're in right now, but actually moving to another location, another state possibly, another area of the country. Do you know about that?
Not me, no.
Have you thought about that? Going someplace else?
I don't think so.
What part of the country are you in right now?
New York.
New York. For some reason, I feel the Midwest for you. I don't know why I'm feeling that. It may be that you get a job opportunity, or you have a friend that invites you there and you just stay or something. But it feels like there's going to be a major change for you like that. Would you be open to it if it comes?
No, not really.
Why?
Sorry, I got a problem like thinking and talking and stuff. Like I can't. Something wrong with like my mind.
Okay, sweetheart. Well, I understand that you're struggling right now. Are you getting help for that somewhere?
Oh, the kind of help I need would be some kind of support system I don't have.
Okay. Support systems can be all around you, darling. Have you gone to any of the local churches and some of their meetings? That might help you.
No, I'm not looking to make friends or anything like that. No.
Yeah, okay. I encourage you to do so because, my love, you need a support system around you. Everybody does, okay? And, I feel like there is a lot of suffering alone. You're telling me there is. And there's help all around. So I need for you to go and do something like that and reach out a little bit and do some sort of therapy, and and go to the doctor to see what this could be that's happening to your mind. And I think that there are clinics and there are things that you can do out there with or without insurance. And you should start that search, Nicole. I really do mean that. Okay?
Yes.
I think that if you did move to the Midwest, there's something in the Midwest. I keep thinking Ohio. Don't ask me why. But I think it would be a better opportunity than you currently have, although you've got some opportunities right now. New York, I used to live in New York. So New York is filled with these marvelous support groups at a lot of the local churches. And I asked that you maybe start with one of those. Okay?
Yep.
All right, darling. Thank you so much for calling, all right?
Thanks.
I wish you well, dear. Okay. All right, guys. We are going to leave that line open. The fact is, I don't know how to do anything else. Oh, no, there it is. Nicole, let me ask, do you want me to leave this line open so you can hear the rest of the show, or do you want to listen on the computer? What would you like here?
You want to just mute me so I can listen to it?
Well, I can't mute you. You can mute yourself, but you're welcome to just have the open line, okay? How's that?
All
right. So just mute from your end, and then we will, on your phone, and then we will just plow on with what we're talking about. So we were talking about expecting people to always do the right things. And I want to put on the table for everybody, certainly everything that we have talked about is true in terms of expectations. But we can't say what's right and wrong for somebody else. I'm leaving you with that. We cannot say what's right and wrong for anybody but us. Now, sometimes we can't even say what's right and wrong for us. And so when you dive down into deeper levels of consciousness and know yourself more, what happens is a clarity is born in you, and you tend to know what to do, or you tend to have the peace that comes with, well, I don't know what to do right now, but I know God is right here, and I will be told the next thing to do. Here's the thing. We cloud all that up, and we expect ourselves to do the right thing. and what's the right thing. When we're in the ego child's mind, we really don't know. We're working from that part of us that always thinks like a child instead of the part of us that is the adult. And that makes it very difficult. We may be perfectionists. Guys, I'm going to say, there's some shows on perfectionism that I've given already. Go back and listen to those if you realize that this might be one of your issues. But guys, there is no such thing as you being perfect. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as cooking the perfect cake or having the perfect house or doing the perfect whatevers. There's no such thing. Perfectionism is born of you're trying to control, you're trying to manipulate, you're trying to get attention in that way, you're trying to, and instead of just being authentic and being yourself. There are a lot of things that drive perfectionism, none of which are good and none of which can be justified in the higher mind, okay? So, for heaven's sakes, we've got to realize that you are imperfect. And here's the acceptance that is on the table here. Embrace that. We're all imperfect, and perfection lies in God. And the only way that we reach our divinity and become more perfect, not that that is true, but better at whatever we are, at our authenticity, is to accept our imperfection and open to perfection that's there in the higher self. You see? This is not one of these things where you have to strive and work so hard and try to, best anybody, right? No, this is just about, becoming what you are already. Okay. We expect ourselves to do the right thing. You don't have to expect yourself to do the right thing. You just have to be very aware. You have to. Whenever I've had really very hard decisions to make for me, I'll do a pro list and a con list, right? Nicole, darling, can you mute your phone? I'm hearing you over there, and it would be better for the listening audience, I think, if you'd have more privacy if you could mute that phone. There's a mute button on your phone somewhere, but it's on most phones. Okay, dear, thank you. Yes, we all make mistakes. Yes, we sometimes are very selfish and only have our own interests at heart. Yes, sometimes we don't make the right call. Yes, sometimes we don't do the right thing. And this is a shocking question I'm about to ask you. Why isn't that all right? It's all part of humanness. Don't you understand? And your divinity lies in your humanness. Believe it or not, your divinity lies in your humanness, in the acceptance of it. Because only the higher self can accept all of you like that. And then have the decision to go on and live differently from the higher self. Okay? And now we're going to another caller. Here we go. Nothing's happening here. Are you there, caller? This is a 780 exchange. Are you there? Whoops, maybe I didn't punch the right button. Let's try this. Yes, are you there, 780?
Get the right button, Martha.
Hey, Jay, I always think it's you, 780. How are you, babe?
Pretty good. This is a great topic, actually.
Well, good. I'm glad. I hope it hits everybody with something that they need to hear today. So, how have you been, kid?
Well, it's been an interesting emotional thing for myself.
What's been going on?
We're there, and what was happening with the landlord and things. I got
Mm-hmm.
But my expectation level right now is just to take it day by day. And you were talking about expectations. I think expectations is about projecting an outcome in the future.
It is, yes.
And expecting the best thing to occur or not occur.
Yes. Here's the confusion, I think, about this. May I jump in there for just a minute? I want to get everybody on the same page with us right now. I often lecture on creating the life you want, and I want to clear this up because I don't want any confusion coming from me. There is a marvelous formula for creating the life you want. It is desire, whatever you want, plus knowingness that lives in expectancy, plus action that equals what you want every time. And if you all want to know more about creating your life, by all means, just go back and listen to other radio shows, or it's in The Life You Want, my book. But that's an expectation that is a good feeling, all right? But you cannot say, I want, if you are, let's say, creating a job, you don't know the name of the job you want. That's an expectation that's going to backfire on you. If you see the job you want and how it's all going to be, one of the best things you can do is to very prayerfully say, there is the perfect job for me. It matches me right now. It's absolutely perfect in every way. It has these few characteristics to it that I want. And I don't know what the name of it is, and I don't know where it's going to come from. So I'm giving that to God and asking that be brought to me now. And that is a very, very positive expectation. But if you're sitting down and thinking that somebody should act a certain way, or a business you're going to manipulate them into hiring you and all that kind of thing, that's the child fooling with expectation. And I hope everybody understands that. Have I explained that well enough, you think, to everybody, Jay? Jay, are you there? Have I lost you?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, good. Have I explained that well enough, dear heart?
Well, yes, you have.
Oh, okay.
Say also, about expectations right now is about technology has expectations. I mean, it's because we expect everything to be there, a reply back or an answer back or something we're searching for to be there instantly.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this is an instant society, isn't it? Yeah.
Expectation for impulsive and instantaneous results right now.
Yeah.
So it doesn't train our mind to be in the present moment, does it?
No, it doesn't train the mind to be in the present moment. You're absolutely right. And all you've got is the present moment. And this is the creative source right here, is this moment. This is the moment that you say, I absolutely know there's something perfect for me. I just don't know the answer. I mean, what the name of it is. And it's coming to me right now. And to go about your life as if it already happened, because it creates a joyful place. If you're going to go through life moping and saying, I don't have it, you're in lack, and you're creating from lack. The whole key to this is to create from a joyful experience that it's already happened, you see? And that is the good kind of expectancy. Like everything else in life, in this duality that we call life, there is a good way to use that word and a poor way to use that word. You see?
Most definitely.
Good.
Most definitely.
Good.
I think right now is that because expectations are, how should I say it, a given, as in people are, I don't know if I can use the word, it's almost like a certainty that this is going to happen, then they get stuck in that.
That's right.
That train of thought.
That's right.
The child ego's mind. And then what happens, they can't see anything different. Like they can't sway from that this is the only outcome. There's no choice. There's no choices.
That's right. It's you're not giving the universe any choices, because you keep in mind one of the the ways that all of life works is that things come to you through the easiest and most effortless way. So what happens if you say, I want a lot of money, but I only want it through the lottery? And you don't have any creative thought, and you're not working hard, and you're not finding new income, and you're not even picking up the dime on the street because it's only a dime. Well, a dime is a part of your this massive amount of money. You're communicating with the universe all the time about what you want. It's just that most people do it from lack, which brings more lack, instead of what they want. And what Jay is saying is, if you make things too specific and say it's only going to come this way because of a fantasy that you are having, it can't come that way. It probably won't come that way, because God works, this energy called God works in mysterious ways. It really is a truism. And you've got to get out of the way and let the miracles happen. Would you agree, Jay? Would you think that, is that what,
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you're saying, I think, to us. And a very, very, I'm so glad that you're bringing that up. There are things that Jay always brings up that I would never think of to say, guys. So I'm always thrilled to hear from him. Anything else, Jay, that you'd like to share with folks?
Well, I want to share too is that I think when we come onto this earth plane, that we're in it's like a sleep deprived amnesia, is that we really don't understand how the universe works in order to create and receive and all those things that are on this earth plane. So there's no really a book on it, or like there's wisdom, but it just doesn't get shared or brought up when we're young.
No, it doesn't get shared or brought up when we're young.
When we come,
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's what I'm saying.
There is a church philosophy out there that is called the science of mind. Guys, that is not Scientology, 180 degrees the other way from Scientology. It takes its philosophies on, Ernest Holmes was the founder of that, from the Bible, and from, believe it or not, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was a very spiritual essayist, if you all will recall. And the science of mind philosophy is lovely. And when you can find the churches, I live out here in the country where there's nothing like this. But when you can find a church like that, they're actually, rearing children in that philosophy. Now, here's the problem with that I see, because I've attended these churches and I like them very much. I like them very, very much. But what happens is that people who have not worked on themselves and have no self-awareness and don't introspect will go to these things, and here you think it's so, and they go, wow, what a great philosophy, I buy that, and they'll start creating, and then it stops because they haven't done any work on themselves. They don't know the intricacies and how to change their lives, and that they've got to introspect. That's part of this, guys. Self-growth is really part of this. And so they leave the church. They say, well, okay, and they just drift away. So the attrition is high in churches like that, generally speaking. So, but there are things like that. But certainly, Jay, and you're quite a bit younger than I am, when you were born, and certainly when I was born, there was nothing like this. Absolutely nothing. And we had to find our own way, which is, I guess, fun and powerful now. I mean, I'm glad that I've had the life I have, even though a lot of it was spent in the dark or searching around or making mistakes. But I'm glad to share those with you these days. Anything else, Jay?
That's it. I'm grateful for your conversation. Looking forward to the rest of it.
Well, I love you. You take good, sweet care of yourself. Do you want me to keep the line open, or are you listening on with another device?
No, you can close the line, or not close it, but just take me off mute, and I'll just listen on the phone. So thank you very much.
All right, sweetheart. Take care of yourself. Call in if you got something else to say, though, for sure. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Lovely. Bye-bye.
Such a sweet man. All right. Number 2, don't expect other people to agree with you. These are expectations. Don't expect them to agree with you. She goes on, whoever the writer is, goes on to say, people, especially your true friends, won't agree with you just for the sake of agreeing with you. If they have a different opinion, they'll debate you for sure. And that's really certainly true. The problem here comes where a lot of people consider that a threat when somebody disagrees with them. When you meet really very dominant people sometimes, they have never learned to share information back and forth, not even debate, share information back and forth. Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? They have to control things because of insecurity. So there are people that literally don't know how to talk about things with you. When that happens, one of the things that I've always realized is I can't talk about everything with everybody. There are some people that just can't take certain things. So one of the loving things to do is just to meet everybody on the level in which they feel safe and comfortable and go on from there. That's fine, you know. Nobody has to agree with you. But I urge you, if you're one of those people that doesn't know how to be disagreed with without feeling threatened, and that's an important thing to look at, because life is much easier than that. You don't have to mount a defense. And you don't always have to be right? Okay. The thing that I now want to put on the table is that we often disagree with ourselves. And I want to say that that's a natural phenomenon. You've got 4 bodies that I work with, the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual bodies. And the emotional body is fascinating, but it's loaded with contradictions. And people think in the world that are unaware people that don't know what we talk about here, they'll not understand at all the fact that you can have 2 beliefs in your emotional body, and they can completely cancel each other out. Okay? So-and-so, yes, I believe spiritually so-and-so is a child of God and should be loved, but I hate his guts. Cancel that out. All right? We are full of contradictions in the emotional body. We also make good things bad and bad things good. All right? We may overwork because we don't have an intrinsic value of our own. So we will owe the work for the kudos that we can get there, for example. And then we go home and we drink and smoke and fall into bed and see no one and get up the next day and do the whole thing. And then when the weekend comes, we're so tired we stay in bed the whole time and then we get up and do it all over again. That's not a balanced life, guys. Right? We're working for the wrong reasons. You get it. So there are many things that we're doing. You know, we're saying, well, I need to rest. Let me go on and finish my thought. I need to rest because I work so hard. Yes, thank you very much. You've made something that is actually not very good for you, working too hard, good because now you're resting and taking care of yourself. It's screwy. But nevertheless, that's what we do in the emotional body. We contradict ourselves all over the place too. So I'm going to say again, and this goes back to Sophie's choice, the whole thing is not that we, the unfortunate thing is not that we have these conflicts, but that we are not getting to them and resolving them. That's the important thing. We should all have these things resolved in us for happy lives. Make sense? And so it becomes extremely important for you to do some sort of work on yourself to find those. We just don't get away without with no self-awareness in this world. However, I'm going to say again, it's some people's experience, not and soul experience, not to have what we in this show would consider happy lives. And you know, I have to say that's all right too. And I support them in whatever they're learning. I can't be so arrogant to say I have the better way. I do not, guys. I have a way, and I have a way that has worked for me and my clients. That's all I can say here. And I hope it touches you, because I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have that hope. But you see, if you come to me as a client and I work on you, and all I can think of is I want to affect change in you. I want to see you say, oh my God, how wonderful, I'm so much better. Then that's about me and my ego. That's not about true healing. I try to stay out of the way and just do my job and let spirit come through and do what it's supposed to do, which is heal you when you and I direct together the energy to go there. Okay. I hope that makes sense. You know, I sometimes am more and more aware, I feel like Nicole in a way, that we're talking about such complex things. I hope I'm articulating enough for you to understand this, because that certainly is my intention. And sometimes I succeed and sometimes I don't, I think. Okay, number 3 is don't expect other people to be mind readers. And the article goes on to say, this is higher perspective, it's an enormous mistake to assume that people, your friends, your family, your partner, can read your mind. If you have high expectations, you need to make them clear. They cannot read your mind. Well, one of the cognitive distortions that we've learned about, and I've lectured on that too in these shows, is being a mind reader, okay? A mind reader is certainly coming from a childhood where you were very insecure, and that you have to kind of scope out the situation to see who likes you, who's not, who's mad, who's not, all that kind of stuff. The fact of the matter is, it's very damaging to expect people to mind read and for you to be the mind reader. Now, let's take each of those, like I'm trying to do with this show. Okay. Expecting somebody else to mind read you is ridiculous. Nobody's going to understand you anyway. You have to understand yourself, and then you have to speak clearly. And if you need to communicate something, you must do it clearly. I disagree with a lot of psychologists out there that say communication is the key. Communication is a key, but I think safety is the big key here. That people are constantly, say, in a relationship, making each other feel unsafe in little tiny ways that erode the trust and the safety. Okay? Now, communication is a key here, and that's what we're talking about here. You have to communicate what you want. It's very funny because my husband and I have completely different styles. And I'm just trying to make him happy, of course. He's trying to make me happy. But he changes the rules and doesn't realize, because Austrians are not real communicative. And I'm sorry to make that as a cultural thing. It actually, you know, the sweet friends that I have, they're not real communicative on the level of emotion that I'm talking about. So, well, all of a sudden, the plans change, and I haven't been told, and there are only 2 of us in the house, you know. And it's funny. It's like, wait a minute. I'm just trying to give you what you said you wanted, but I don't want that anymore. Okay. Let's move to another track, which brings us to another point, which is it's real important to be adaptable and flexible. And certainly, honeys, that's going to help the more you open consciousness to be flexible and adaptable. Extremely important. Okay. Going back to mind reading now. You can't expect other people to do that. You have to be very clear. So you've got to know what you want very clearly and precisely, and either go about meeting those needs for yourself or communicating them with your partner. For some, I can work really hard, and my husband can work really hard. So it's important from time to time that he says to me, or I say to him, here's what we need to do. What's a good date night? Let's go out to dinner and have some fun, just the two of us. And that's just always so lovely. That's a good communication, a very clear one. We'll choose this night at this time. We'll make a reservation. It's our agreement to go. Otherwise, we do tend to get grumpy. We haven't seen each other. We work too hard, right? And so when we recognize just the beginning of that, it's like, oh, wait a minute. All right, look at what we've done. We've ignored something real important, which is the connection that we have. Okay, now let's go back to you mind reading. When we're insecure, we try to read others' minds. Now, what's going to take the place of that? I said in a different situation when, let's say, somebody trying to, you're expecting somebody to read the mind. The key is communication. And instead of expecting them to read your mind, you communicate what you want. Well, what's the answer here when you yourself are trying to mind read? You know you got to stop it. So do. And what takes its place is asking questions. Asking questions instead of mind reading. So, if your boss is appearing weird to you today, go in, shut the door, and say, can you tell me what's going on? You're acting a little strange today, and you know I care about you and want what's best and want to give you what you want. So can you tell me what's going on? All right. Now, when we're young, we're afraid to do that because we may get an answer we don't want. And our frustrated fathers, our frustrated mothers may yell at us, but this is a different time, guys. And asking questions is the emotional mature thing to do. I told everybody the story because I think it's such a good one of one of my clients who years ago was working for a company, and she's always very, very well respected in any company she works for. And so she was in the boss's office, and the boss told her about a rollout that was going to happen in the future, and they had to immediately get to a meeting. Okay? So they ran to the meeting, and in the meeting, my client spoke up and said, if we do this, can you tell me blah, 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 blah. And the boss shut her down immediately. Well, I can talk about that, something along those lines. And changed the subject and went on. Well, my client, now this was in the early days of her being a client to me, but my client just immediately went into the slough of despond and thought it was her and that she'd done something wrong and things were not good. And, I got lots of messages. Hang on, guys, I'll be right with you. And that kind of thing. She was very upset all weekend long because this happened on Friday, right? All weekend long. Oh my God, she's going to quit. This was just horrible. Obviously they were not making themselves happy. By Sunday night, it finally dawned on her that she needed to go talk to the boss. Now, she should have done this on Friday, okay? Then she would have had a nice weekend. But she goes in on Monday and she says, can you tell me what happened at that meeting? Because, I don't get that at all. And the boss said, oh yeah, I am so sorry I had to shut you down. But what I forgot to tell you in the little meeting was that I didn't want anybody to know it until you and I had worked on this and worked out the strategy. Okay, so all this drama just wasn't even necessary. Okay, guys, oh no, I am so sorry you had COVID. Oh Lord, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad you are back, sweetheart. Oh, Sheila, I'm so sorry. And Michelle says, what do you do when you communicate what you want with a friend and get no response? Okay. Well, Michelle, the truth is I need to know a little more detail. So if you want to write me a little more detail, that'd be great. The fact of the matter is, I'd ask them why. I'd ask them if they, I just don't know what that's about. So I'd like to know more. Jay says, ask the curious questions, whether they are what you consider. It really doesn't matter whether anybody is dumb or smart. It's just you're trying to just honor them where they are and have them honor you where you are. Becky, hey! Oh, I'm so glad you're here too, sweetheart. Welcome, 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 everybody. I'm just delighted that we are all together. It's nice. So we're talking about expecting things from other people and sometimes getting confused by expecting too much from ourselves as well and not embracing our humanness, which was one of our points that we had earlier. And we were just talking about mind reading, expecting people to read your mind, or you trying to read other people's minds. And we said, well, what takes the place of you trying to read their minds? Because oftentimes we're wrong, and I just gave you an example of that with my friend. What you want to do is just go in and ask. You just want to ask the right question. Now, you may be shaking in your boots the first time you do this, but it probably, whatever you have to ask is probably not about you at all. You see? I mean, when you said, Michelle, what do I do when I ask for something and I don't get any response? I understand that. But who knows, what's going on over there. They may have COVID for that matter. So we've got to find out. You need more information. You simply need more information. And as an adult and as an emotionally mature adult, we have to be brave enough to go get the information because it's probably not about you at all. You see? All right. Judy says, I'm so happy to be here too because my expectation is always a wonderful time of sharing and growth. Oh, thank you so much, darling. I think so too. I love these shows. I have so much fun with you guys. I really do. It's great fun for me too. All right. Number 4. Don't expect them to understand you. I kind of skipped ahead, didn't I, with that one? Because the truth is we really can't expect other people to understand us. Oh, it's marvelous when we think we've, had a tete-a-tete and that we are getting there and we're understanding each other. I think it's fabulous. The problem here comes with our assuming that everybody feels the way we do. And the fact of the matter is you are entirely unique. You really are. You are incredibly unique. Nobody has had the life experiences and the putting together of things like a jigsaw puzzle that becomes you like you. There's just nobody else that's doing that. So I think it's a very important thing not to assume that other people, even though we're having a closeness and a marvelous experience with someone else, I would never say to somebody else, I know just exactly how you feel, because I don't. I'm understanding and feeling as much as I can being another person. I'm empathetic, I care about you, and that's true. But that's about where it stops. I can't be you. You can't be me. We can be open to each other and to understand as much as we can, which, by the way, is a precious friend. If you've got one of those, that's really a marvelous thing. This article goes on to say, you should be yourself because you want to be, not because you want to impress anyone else. No one has to like or understand you. Instead, you should focus on liking and understanding yourself. Well, yes, that is the substitution. So we're talking about, yes, you do this, but here's the substitution for it, like the last one we just did too. about saying, well, ask the questions. Okay. Instead of mind reading. Here, I think it's extremely important for you to realize this self-discovery, this self-awareness is never going to end, darlings. It's something you should embrace. It's part of life. I have a dear friend that has cancer right now. And she and I were talking the other day, and she said, oh, I'm so tired of going to a doctor. I'm so tired of having this procedure and that procedure. And I said, I understand your tiredness. I get that. And I say, I don't see how you could not be physically tired. But I will say that all of this is part of your healing. You're getting well. You're not having this anymore. And she said, I never thought of it that way. And I said, so do you think you can have a different attitude going to the doctor? You can acknowledge that, this is a pain in the ass to get off my couch and go to this doctor and get checked for this or that or the other. Yeah, I will give you that. But the thing is, part of you must say it's a celebration too, because this is all part of getting well. This is what I know to do right now to get well. And so I think there's a lot of confusion in our marrying ideas together. Oh, I got to go to the doctor. Well, if you leave it there, it becomes negative. Instead of saying, I'm really tired and don't want to get off my couch, but I'm celebrating my health. I'm going to the doctor. I'm finding out where we are right now. I'm finding out whatever else I need to find out. And that's all part of my healing. Why can't both those things exist, you see? But if we just stop at one, you're not really understanding yourself and all the global situation. It's the global situation that gives you the positivity. It's in there. There's a gift in everything, ladies and gentlemen. There's a gift. If you're not looking for that gift, you're going to default back to the old door, which is, I don't want to do that. You understand? Don't default. You have to be aware of what's going on here beyond what you feel. Feeling sometimes it can be quite deceptive. You're the one that must understand yourself. You're the one that must be responsible in this way for your moment. It's the literal moment that has the power, just like Jay said on this on our phone call. It's the literal moment that has the power for you. So if you're in the future projecting and expecting, or if you're in the past, you're kind of missing the boat, because past's over, future hadn't come. This is the moment of creating everything. Now, if you think I'm over here lecturing because I don't do expectations in the wrong way, that's not true. I'll give you an example of that, something that I did, that I caught myself doing, and I was just a mess. Now, this wasn't this last move. This last move was hard enough as it was. This was the first move when we moved to our little cabin up here to make sure that my husband even enjoyed the mountains, right, before we actually found our forever home. So we found a little cabin, and I had done nothing for years but watch HGTV. And there was always the big reveal, and everybody came in and went, oh, it's so beautiful, right? Okay, all right. In my head, I imagined decorating this house and having my husband walk in and go, oh, Martha, it's beautiful. It's everything I could have imagined. But I wasn't thinking through. I was just excited about this. And this is how my excitement went, this expectation. right? But my husband, I love him with all my heart. He's a bit of a control freak. And he wants to be in every little detail and have every little, but he doesn't go fast like a moving tails, right? So it drives me crazy. So, so I was incredibly mad at him. Incredibly mad at him. Because he didn't walk in the house and go, glorious. He just saw everything that was wrong as we went and changed it all. Before my vision was even realized. Before I could give him this incredible gift of the big reveal. Do you see, ladies and gentlemen, that it wasn't about me giving him the big gift. It was about me receiving the big gift and all that admiration. I set myself up instead of working in the moment, right, with him to accomplish this and being patient with his process. That didn't happen. So I was mad at him for a couple of days before I realized, oh, look at what I was doing. Look at what I was doing. And then I came in and I apologized to him and I told him everything and we went out to dinner and have a good laugh about it. Kids, we do it to ourselves. I wanted to tell you that story because I set myself up. You're setting yourself up in a lot of ways, in some of these ways too, by your not understanding what you're doing. I didn't understand what I was doing. I was just in the throes of, oh, this is so exciting. You know, I was reared up here in these Appalachian hills. I grew up here. And in the summers, it was just the most wonderful experience. And I was so excited about getting back, you know, those 6 years ago. And guys, you've got to be aware of what you're doing. Sometimes we're aware after the fact. I think that was a good after the fact story. And I think I was supposed to go through it not only for my own growth, but to share with you all. Okay? Good. Number 5 in this list is don't expect them to always stay the same. How do I put this? People that have had backgrounds that are a little unstable, and that's, by the way, just about everybody, in some way, shape, or form, a little insecure here or there, like absolutes. In fact, the whole human race takes comfort in the fact that we predict that tomorrow is going to be the same as today, and the next day after that is going to be the same as it is. We like things to be the same. We like the status quo. We have an expectation that tomorrow is the same as today, and that people will behave the same today as they did yesterday. It's simply not true. That expectation that everything's going to be the same often will do us in. And I say will do us in, and I say this as a society, because there was an expectation before 9/11 that every day was going to be the same. So when that came along, that so shook us, because all of a sudden the world was different. When COVID came along, it so shook us. You see? If we are going to be adaptable and flexible, and by the way, those are the number one characteristics that I see we better have now until the rest of our lives. Because this world, everything is going to change more than it has. And you need those characteristics. What interferes with being adaptable and flexible? Well, these issues we're talking about, right? All those cognitive distortions. Don't let us think out of the box. Don't let us be creative. We can't expect the same. Things are not going to be the same. People have different feelings and moods and have things happen to them, and we are the same that they are, that we're always changing. The very fact that you should evolve past where you are now, that we should accept change and growth and opportunities and go and learning experiences and depth, really is about our aging, isn't it? We should do that as we age. We should get wiser and deeper and better and, by the way, happier. So part of this is accepting the way the world is. Everything changes. Everything changes. We have to accept change. We have to not be afraid of change. We have to allow change. We have to support change in our friends and family and in ourselves. Now, the way I have done that my whole life is to, introspect. I find that it is one of the most amazing experiences ever to go into myself and find out how intricately I'm wired and how I had thought that limited me and how I'm breaking those thoughts out in the world and thanking you once. And I do suggest that you do the same. Hang on. I don't know why I'm having trouble with my computer today. All right, number 6. Could that be right? We only have 8 more minutes. Okay. Number 6. Don't expect them to always have it all together. Guys, don't expect yourself to have it all together either. Let's talk about both those things. She goes, whoever this writer says, we struggle in life from time to time. Don't expect people to always have their lives together. There were probably times when you didn't. It's great to have the support of other people to grow as an individual. Understand that other people also need space sometimes, and that doesn't mean that they just still don't care about you. And all that is true. I see a lot of times couples come into me for counseling, and I can think of one in particular. This woman had never grown up. She was a child. Her father doted on her, always doted on her, said, you can depend on me for everything. Well, now he's long since passed off this earth, right? And so she's married a man who's a kind of weak guy, and he doesn't make a lot of money. And she's furious with him all the time. She's been the money maker. He's not the father that's taking care of her. She's just transferred that to him because she never grew up. Does that make sense? I hope you see it. And Jay, Michelle said that was the problem, expecting a response and getting upset about it can't control others. Well, absolutely, my darling. I know a man who has a difficult son. He's been estranged from his son for 5 years now. Do you think that he stopped loving his son? Oh, absolutely not. So, he gets upset that his son doesn't communicate with him, doesn't write him an email, doesn't say how you doing, doesn't send him a birthday card. And I said, are you doing that for your son? Because if you're just sending him a birthday card because you want a response back, that's not a reason to send him a birthday card. Do you see? You give because you give. You don't give to get something back. That's the ego child's mind giving, and that's not good enough anymore for you. We give because we genuinely want to do it, not for the expectation of return. You see? This is a reciprocal society. I learned that if you invited me to your birthday party, I was going to invite you to mine. I mean, that's what nice families instill in their children. But we all grow up with various problems. So that kind of societal reciprocal thing is not true if somebody is disturbed. They meet you where they are. Why isn't that all right? Or they don't meet you at all. So it does become, why isn't that all right? And it is. See, it doesn't matter what they're doing. It doesn't matter what they out there are doing or whether they deserve love. It has to do with you. You are love. That's the bottom line. You be true to you. You send that card no matter what. And don't expect anything back. It doesn't matter. Jay says, you're a conscious observer. Well, I don't know about that, but I'm trying. 2023, expect change for the whole world, financial, food, war. The truth is, all I know is chaos from now until the end of my life and beyond. So I am told, I'm running a course, my advanced class, I'm running a course on creativity. Thinking outside the box, breaking all the rules, thinking past all of our limitations. They've been with me for 20, 25 years, these people, and they are certainly ready to be pushed this way. But one of the reasons I'm doing a class like that is because we have to be really flexible and adaptable right now. These are your key words for the future. And so if you recognize that you're not, I would suggest strongly that you find out why and try to be in the moment and improvise beautifully, because that's the kind of world we have right now and will have. Guys, it's precious that you don't have it all together. It's absolutely, the 4 agreements Jay was saying for 2023, that's absolutely right. Don't have the expectation that you're going to have it all together. There are just times we don't. Whenever we're learning something new, we often are full of self-doubt. Learn it anyway. Go on. Okay? We have to embrace that part of us that goes, oh, hell, I don't know what I'm doing. And you know what? That's everybody from time to time. Certainly me, certainly everybody else. You just have to do it. And then the clouds kind of part and you find yourself in a new place. Embrace that part of you that doesn't have it all together, my darlings. And then one day you will, okay? Do what you need to do for yourself. And number 7 is, and I thought this was dear, don't expect them to follow the golden rule. But this writer, he or she, says, but you always should. And I love that in the way this article ended because, yes, I go back to the fact that it isn't about whether somebody standing in front of you deserves love. That's a moral judgment that you are not equipped to make. You shouldn't make. This isn't about, you. About them. This is about you. Are you love? And are you going to do and be true? Are you going to be true to who you are? Are you going to be true to who you are? Now, my husband, it's really interesting. When he first came here, he said,
90 seconds.
All of this about love and loving everybody. He said, I don't really understand it. There are various degrees of love, you see. He's learned now. When you say you love somebody, it's not that you love them the same way. You're going to love your close friends and your intimates differently than you will love the stranger over there. That everyone should be loved as much as you are capable of loving is the truism. And Jay is saying, draw a picture to break the expectation pre-programming. I love that. Thank you, Jay, for the word of wisdom. We've got 60 seconds. Let me say, guys, I'm going to pray when we get off the line that we can lift anything off of you that we can. Thank you so much for supporting the show and telling people about this. Our conscious community is growing, and that's just thrilling. So please get the word out about what we're doing here, and I love you very much. Thank you so much for everybody jumping in there, and thank you, Judy, and all of you all. I love hearing from you. It's just a marvelous thing to be with you on Sunday mornings. God bless all of you. I'll see you next week, okay? We're going to talk about something exciting next week, which is black and white thinking. And that's a really important topic for us to knock down in all of us. Jay,
10 seconds.
thank you for that sweet remark. You all are precious. Thank you, Becky. Love you all. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a good week and be well. No more COVID, okay?